On number 31 here, I hope everybody read their directions carefully. It says to determine the sign of the integral without calculating it. So we're not actually coming up with a numerical answer to this. They just want us to tell them whether it's positive or negative. Furthermore, the GU that was written right next to this problem, we've talked about this, I think, during the course of the year. It means graphing utility. So they're telling you here, guys, this is a function that's too complicated for you to be able to graph on your own. So go ahead and use a graphing utility such as, oh, I don't know, your graphing calculator or Desmos or something online to go ahead and graph this for you. Although I am curious, you guys could probably tell me right here that if the function f of x was x times the sine of x, where would this thing equal 0? If the first factor, x, were equal to 0, this whole thing would equal 0. So I know this graph passes through the origin. Or anytime the second factor, sine of x, were equal to 0, this function would be 0 as well. That happens at 0, which we already listed, but it also happens when x is equal to pi and when x is equal to 2 pi, which happens to be where we're ending this thing. So this graph is going to have some nice x-intercepts right here at pi and another one over here at 2 pi. Furthermore, here's what I think I know. In between 0, which is right here, and pi, which is right here, sine, our y-coordinate on the unit circle, is positive. So from 0 to pi, we're going to be multiplying a positive x value times a positive sine value. This thing has to exist above the x-axis. But then, from pi to 2 pi, now we're on, let's see, the bottom half of the unit circle. Sine, or your y-coordinate, is negative. So now this thing is going to go negative and below. Now, I don't think I've drawn this accurately because the way I've kind of done it, it looks like just part of a normal sine wave. And it kind of looks like this thing would cancel out with this thing, and the answer would just be 0. It wouldn't be positive or negative. But that's making an awful big assumption here, guys. And as I'm thinking about the numbers, the x values here are greater than the x values here. I think that this negative region here is actually going to outweigh the positive region. I think this thing is actually going to look a little more like this. Or maybe I didn't even do that enough. Maybe it's going to come down even more than that. So my guess is this upper region is going to be smaller in area than this lower region here. But I think I should probably graph this just to find out. So x times the sine of x. So I am going to, add a page right here to this document, a graph. And here we go. F, wherever I am, is going to be x multiplied by the sine of x. All right, and yes, I'm in radians. Yeah, we're all good right here. So remember, guys, we only care about this graph starting at 0, which obviously is at the origin, and ending at 2 pi, which is about 6.28. And I think I've got this right here, guys. I think, yeah, this first hump right here looks significantly smaller. I can't really, that didn't work at all. Sorry. I think that's that region there is going to be smaller than this region was right there. So I actually think my graph was pretty accurate. And that tells us, guys, that this answer right here is going to be negative. Why is that? Because the area of region number 2 is greater than the area of region number 1. The negative part outweighs the positive, so we end up with a negative answer here for the value of this definite integral. And that is all they were asking us to do on problem number 31.